2024 was a year for Apex. I don't know if I'd call it a big year, but it was definitely a year and lots of things happened. From some amazing things like E-District being added to the game, the new map which everybody loves, to the amazing new perk system which revamped a lot to do with the game, over to some, well, not so great things like the ALGS hack, or the absurd amount of collection of milestone events. And we're gonna cover all of this, absolutely everything that happened for Apex in 2024. We'll start off by having a look at all the content that was released for the game in 2024. So, you know, the likes of the new map, the fact that we got no new weapon, all the collection events and whatnot. While doing that, we'll also compare it to past years to see how it's changed. And then later in the video, we'll go over all the major events that happened this year, from the ALGS hack to the new universal heirlooms that started to get released and everything else you can think of. On Reddit, an amazing user, Wing6781, posted this overview of Apex 2014, which we'll be using and referencing a lot during this video, so big thank you to them. I know a lot of the graphics blurred out right now, don't worry, I'll unblur it as we go throughout the video talking about each point, including the fact that we had 12 collection events this year, but there are 4 major parts or stats on screen right there. So first up, legends. In 2024, we got 1 legend. And that legend was Alta. Fun legend with a lot of potential, good for the lore. Honestly, she was great and an amazing addition to the game. But that's it. We had 1 legend and 1 legend only. If we compare that to past years, in 2023, we had 2 legends with Ballistic and Conduit. And in years before that, we had double that, 4 legends in both 2022 and 2021, which is obviously a major drop off with new legends added to the game. I would like to state though, there does become a point where a game can have too many legends. So I understand it slowing down, which is fine. And of course, they did Lifeline rework, which changed her quite a lot. Plus, they did an overhaul of all the legends with the brand new perk system, which, ignoring a few of the bad perks or double ups of perks, was an amazing thing. It added so much more depth and change to the game. So I think only 1 legend being added during 2024, at least in my opinion, is an okay thing, largely because of the perk overhaul. Next up, maps. And now this one's interesting, because if we look back to last year, 2023, we actually had no new maps added to the game. We did get a couple of changes to, you know, Storm Point and whatnot, but there was no new map. And this year we did. We got a new map, E-District, which was absolutely amazing. One of the best maps they've ever added to the game. From casuals to kill grinders to pros, everyone loves it. It's a lot of fun and it was really, really well made. Along with this, at the start of the year, we also got the rework or the changes to Broken Moon, which I think was fantastic. It made the map a lot more fun to play. And on large, it seems like people agree with that. Although under this map category, it wasn't only good things. First off, with E-District, they added it to the game and everyone was loving it. But then for some reason, the devs took it out of map rotation and it has now been months without being able to play the brand new map that everyone loved, which is a little weird. And on top of that, we got 0 town takeovers. Town takeovers are one of the most fun things in the game. And if you're a new player, you probably don't even know what they are. But they're where a POI gets taken over by a legend in the game and it gets changed to represent that legend. So for example, on KC, water treatment got taken over by Caustic and changed to Caustic's treatment, or Map Room used to just simply be an old server station out there and now it's taken over by Crypto, but sadly it seems they are no more, and at least to me, that's a big disappointment. Now, new weapons, and this is an interesting one. We didn't officially get any new weapons in 2024, but we did get the addition of Akimbos, so the Akimbo P2020s, and of course the Akimbo Mozams, which, while OP and kind of busted on release, were a lot of fun and a great addition to the game. But them being the only new weapon, or I guess version of a weapon, being permanently added to the game for a full year is not fantastic. Once again, I can understand the fact that there's a lot of weapons in Apex and they don't want to just keep adding way too many to make the game, you know, too complicated and have an excess amount of weapons. But if we look back to last year, 2023, there was only 1 weapon added then as well, aka the Nemesis. So in 2 years of Apex, we've only had 1 new weapon added to the game. Whereas if we jump back to the year before that, 2022, we had 4 weapons added. The 30-30, the Bocek, the Rampage, the Car. It was almost a new weapon every single season. The last picture on this first row is a mixtape change. There was a new map added to mixtape, aka Thunderdome. I personally am not a big mixtape player, so I don't know too much about mixtape, but I've heard the map was a lot of fun and it was really good. Looking further down in this graphic, I'm blurring the next part for you guys. We have new gameplay systems / modes. First up, we had the Legend upgrade system, which I touched on earlier when I was talking about the Legends, which was absolutely amazing and a great addition to the game. I can't believe it was something easy to do for the developers as well, as it involved adding 4 new perks to every single Legend in the game, and, you know, having them interact differently with everybody. That can't have been easy, and it was honestly a great addition to the game. It was fantastic. Then we have the Rumble system, Ranked Rumble. This has to be one of the biggest fails of an addition to Apex in a very long time. When it was first introduced, the leaderboards were shown live to everyone, and it was something like 85% of players on all platforms were cheaters. Apparently on Xbox, 98 out of the top 100 players at the end of the Ranked Rumble split were cheating, and they all got their rewards. No one got their rewards taken off them. There was no punishments, absolutely nothing. There was also an issue where if you played ranked Rumble, you got put into a normal game mode of someone playing the game mode normally without any ranked. So if they decided to leave, you were just left with no teammates while you were in ranked. There was endless crashes, people not being able to reset and restart their ranked Rumble games. Due to all these issues and more, ranked Rumble was cancelled by the devs. Not sure if we'll see it again, but ultimately I think it was a really cool idea, just implemented absolutely awfully, which sucked. Of course, there was the split battle pass system, aka where there was all that drama over the battle pass changing, being split into more, costing more money and everything. We'll cover that more later in the video, but just to mention it now, there was that as well. And lastly, bot royale mode. They added the bot royale mode so you can warm up and verse bots. But let's be real, I could probably win that game mode with my eyes closed. I don't know, it's cool, it's fun. Maybe it's great for new players, but I don't think it's a major additional change to the game. Up next, we have new gameplay items / mechanics. First off, the Evo Shield Core and Evo Caches. So the changes to the shield system. This was absolutely amazing. Similar to the Legend perk system that got added, this was one of the best changes they've ever made to Apex. The new shield system in Apex is fantastic. It was well implemented with very few issues. It caters to all different play styles, all different skill levels, and was just fantastic, honestly. Big ups to the devs for that. Well done. Gold and mythic bins were added to the game, along with the ability for them to restock after round 2 closes, which helps a lot if you're resetting around that point in time or just need more loot going further into the game. Not a major change, but it was a good change. No harm in it at all. Finally, battle sense. This is personally a feature that I think is controversial, not great for the game, but the majority of people like it, so I won't talk on that. This is where a player that's now close to you has a little red outline on them, and they're basically easier to see, or if you're a recon legend and you scope in with your gun, they turn red. Basically, imagine you were looking through a digi-thread. I think it made certain important aspects of the game like ratting harder and gave away too much info for free, but that's just my take. Another thing they've left off here as well is the changes to the revive system. Now, as long as you have any support legend on your team, you're able to go craft banners and revive your teammates. Plus, if you are a support legend, you get a mobile respawn beacon from that. Once again, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's been pretty well received, so fair play. New limited time modes, we had 8, which is actually an increase from the year before where we only had 6. And returning or modified LTMs, we had 9 of, which is actually an increase from the 4 we had the year before that. So in terms of limited time modes as a whole, we had a big increase of new limited time modes. Gonna be honest, it didn't feel like we did, but I mean, the stats don't lie. Now for the big one, collection events. We started off the year with the Final Fantasy Rebirth collection event, where there was like a $400 Universal Buster Sword, and we're now ending the year with Winter's Haunt, the so-called Christmas collection event. During the rest of the year, we had 10 other collection events, so that means 12 collection events in total. If you wanted to buy all 12 of these out, so you have all the heirlooms and skins from these, it would have cost you almost $4,000. One collection event, or as they're known now, milestone events per month, which seems like a lot, and it is, but it's not uncommon for games. The only big issue here is Apex has a lack of new, innovative, interesting, fun content in the game, towards where the majority of content is just reused or slightly changed old content and new skins, and more new skins. Having skins and even lots of skins in a video game is fine. They don't change the actual gameplay. They're not largely pay to win. They're just there to look cool and make the company money, which ultimately they need to run the game. But the issue comes when the game is not in a good place, and they keep or even increase the amount they're pumping out these skins to try and make more money, while seemingly not focusing on the bigger issues within the game itself. That covers all of the content that Apex received in 2024. And we're about to have a look at all the major events for Apex in 2024, like the ALGS hack, the current situation for cheaters in the game, and so much more. But first, here are my thoughts on all the content we just covered that Apex had in 2024, which ultimately was actually an increase from the year before in the majority of places. Which is weird, because Apex, at least to myself and many other people I know, is feeling more stale than it's ever been. And I think this is because everything that got added to the game, apart from, the new perk system, which was fantastic, and the new shield system, which was also fantastic, it's largely just the same kind of stuff. There's nothing fundamentally new changing the game that's been added, so it just stays, well, the same. Apex is now almost 6 years old, and the games that survive this long are ones that have consistent, big, fundamental changes to the game. Look at something like Fortnite. They have major collabs to keep the hype going. They have sandbox modes and things like that, which sadly, Apex doesn't have. Another reason, and the biggest reason for me for why the game is feeling stable, because I love this game to absolute death. I think the core gameplay, the core mechanics are absolutely insane. The best of any game ever made. But Apex is lacking progression. It is lacking progression so badly. And the little progression the game does have, they're taken out of the game. Think of trackers, for example, they've been removed. this whole season of Apex right now, you haven't been able to earn any badges because you can't earn badges in a limited time mode, and this entire season is one long limited time mode. In the last 3, maybe even 4 years, the only progression things I can think of added to the game were the weapon mastery system, which in theory could have been absolutely amazing and done major strides toward this, but then it was one of the worst made and developed aspects of the game I've ever seen. It was genuinely so bad. Apart from small little badges like battle pass badges and maybe a tiny event badge, which aren't really major progression, there was one other badge added to the game, which was the win streak badge to get 5 wins in a row. Once again, was fun to get, was awesome, but it's only been one badge added to the core game in, what, 4 years? Then we've also had seasonal trackers removed, which makes absolutely no sense because there were so many people that loved, trying to get a certain amount of kills for a season, whether it was, something like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. It catered to all different skill levels and everyone in the game, but sadly that's been removed. So overall, looking at the content added to Apex in 2024, and especially comparing it to 2023, wasn't too bad and was extremely similar in the amount of the content released. We actually had more limited time modes. We definitely had more collection events, but there were major changes made to the fundamental game and the aspects of the perk system and the shield system, which were awesome. We got one new legend, which was okay. We got an amazing new map that we sadly couldn't play much of. We may not have got any new weapons, but I'm personally okay with that. As I just went through, I think the biggest issue is the game's just feeling stale because the core game isn't being changed at all, which is needed after a game's been out for 5, almost 6 years. Plus progression. People of all different skill levels need something to work towards and something to grind. And the rank system in Apex isn't really that, as let's be honest, it's not great. This is not a video about the rank system. I might have one coming out on that soon, but Apex's rank system, let's be honest, sucks. Now, that's a comprehensive list of all the new content that was released to Apex during 2024 and a few of my little thoughts on it. I hope I didn't talk too much and I hope you enjoyed it. Now, let's also have a look at all the major events for Apex that took place in 2024. From the good ones to the, well, not so good ones. For this, we're partially going to use some footage and audio that I put out in the video a couple of months ago, where I highlighted all the major issues and reasons for Apex's slow downfall. Starting off in January 2024 with our first ever milestone event. As I did just say, a lot of the footage you're about to see is from an old video with me adding on to it right now. So if you want to go have a look at the history of Apex and all the major issues it's had, like you can see on screen right now, feel free to go check that video out. It'll be in the comment and pinned description. But for now, back to the first major event of 2024 for Apex Legends. Its first ever milestone event. This was in with the collaboration Final Fantasy event, which had so much potential to be awesome and amazing, but also signified what we just spoke about, the shift from legend-specific heirlooms over to universal heirlooms. And let's be real, it sucked. The universal heirloom was awful. It had limited animations, didn't look flashy, took up a lot of your screen, but at the same time, when you were running with it, you still couldn't see much. So how those both work at the same time, I don't know, but congrats on doing that, I guess, Apex. Oh, and of course, you got a death box if you unlocked it all. That's right, a $360 death box. This event had 2 extra special features as well. One, if you wanted to get a certain skin for the event, you had to gamble to get it. You couldn't buy it outright with craft materials or Apex coins. You had to gamble and hope you got it out of the pack that you opened. Although they did add a new rarity of item iconic skins, and those ones you could buy in the event. But they were really expensive, much more expensive than legendary skins, and it honestly just felt like they added this iconic name so they could charge more than what a legendary skin normally costs. Our next point on the timeline comes shortly after. It's the end of January 2024, and roller tap strafe has been removed, or I guess you could call it the CFG config crackdown. So there was a big issue in Apex, largely all on PC, or actually all on PC, where you could use configs to do an insane amount of things, from basic movement like tap strafe over to having no recoil, auto armor swaps, auto 360s, and so much more. This was done by exploiting an issue with an accessibility feature in the game. Kinda sad. Here's the video of it that went viral and a couple of examples of what it could do. In my eyes, this was just cheating, and I'm glad that the devs, finally, after a long time, cracked down on it and, reverted the way that CFGs were used in order to do this. In saying that, I think the devs missed an absolutely massive opportunity here. They could have used this as the chance to make tap strafing more accessible, or even just general movement more accessible to controller players. And they could have also used this as a chance to address the issue of cheating on console in relation to Zens and whatnot. And now it's time for one of the biggest issues, probably the biggest issue Apex has ever had to deal with, and something player-wise, player count-wise, that they've never fully recovered from, the ALGS hack. I won't go into insane detail on it, as there's a lot of information out there about it, and most people watching this probably already know about it, as it was absolutely huge. But for those that don't, in short, 2 of the biggest players in the entire game, mid-tournament, had their PCs hacked. Or I guess compromised. First off, it was Jen Burton, and then it was his teammate Imperial Hull. This was, well, an absolutely ridiculous, crazy time for Apex. No one knew what was going on. The Apex devs were not saying anything. They were radio silent about it all for so long. Until finally, what was legitimately weeks later, and Apex put out a statement saying basically that they'd upped their security and deployed a layered series of updates to the game in order to protect it and their players. But sadly, Apex never fully recovered from this. During this time, so many people uninstalled the game, and they simply just never reinstalled it. I, to this day, on my videos and in my stream, get asked, is the game safe to play because of this? And I honestly don't know how to answer that, because as a community, we never really got an answer. We don't know. Did they fully deal with the issue? Is the game fully safe to play? We only just have to hope that it is. Now, let's move away from that, because honestly, that sucked. And let's go back to, let's go back to our monetization in Apex. As March 26, 2014, we got our second ever milestone event, the Shadow Society milestone event. The devs took feedback from the first milestone event we just spoke about, and yeah, they ignored all of it and made it worse. The free packs you got in the original event were removed and you no longer got. There were no skins that you could buy individually like in the last one, and one of the prizes at the end was another death box. Now, looking at a more present time, Season 21, only almost 2 seasons ago. In this season, Duos was removed for the whole season, legitimately 3 months without some people's favorite game mode, mine included. There was also another universal heirloom added, although this one was super customizable. But the only way to customize it was with a new entire currency they added to the game, which didn't really make any sense. The game didn't need any more currencies. It was basically just another money grab. This new currency was exotic shards, and it was only purchasable with real money, and then only usable to get upgrades to your universal heirlooms or to buy a pay-to-win recolored skin of an old Flatline or R99. At least to me, it's just screaming money, 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 we want more money. Like, why couldn't they have used legend tokens? Legend tokens have been in the game since day one, and they're usable for basically nothing. I personally have about 3.5, maybe 4 million of these. A literal crazy amount. They could have made it so customizations to the universal heirloom were done with these. Maybe it was 100,000, 200,000 per customization. You still would have to buy the base heirloom out with real money, but then you could have used these to upgrade it, which would have been super cool and really, really amazing. But yeah, well, they didn't. I guess because they wanted more money. And now it's time for one of the biggest moments on this timeline. One of the biggest turning points for Apex as a whole, the Battle Pass rework. And it follows the idea of what we were just talking about. Money, 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 and more money. Apex has always had this amazing feature with their battle passes where if you finish one battle pass, you would get a bunch of Apex coins from it, enough to buy the very next battle pass. Then you can do the same thing and continuously just get every single battle pass by doing that, basically only ever having to buy one battle pass. They decided basically this was bad for business, as not enough people were buying the battle pass because within reason they were getting it for free. So they said, no, we're changing that. And now if you guys want the battle pass, the only way to purchase it every season is going to be with real life money. Apex coins can't be used anymore. There were a bunch of other changes as well, like splitting the one battle pass into 2 battle passes that would be 1 for each split, with the reasoning of making it easier for people to finish. But the major issue, and one that everyone was upset about, was that they had to now buy it with real money and couldn't use the Apex coins that they previously had been. This caused insane backlash, the most backlash Apex has ever got. Legitimately, their game, mid-tournament being hacked, was not as bad as this backlash-wise. On Steam, the game got review bombed beyond belief and went from being extremely highly rated and overly positive down to a negative review. It was ridiculous. It got more than 50,000 negative reviews in a month. That's actually crazy. It's absurd. It was basically the straw that broke the camel's back for the Apex community. All the other issues that they'd been dealing with and putting up with to an extent, like the monetization predatory systems, cheaters, server issues, audio, etc., finally all just came crashing down. The people couldn't deal with it anymore, and it was just like a roll-on effect. Everyone was just hating on Apex. Eventually, the devs did come out with a statement saying that they listened to the community and they reverted the change with the battle pass so that it was now purchasable with Apex coins again. A lot of the other changes still persisted in the battle pass and people weren't overly too happy with that. And the whole statement in general was basically taken as the Apex devs just trying to save face with the community. Although in this statement, they did also include, to quote, "Your priorities are our priorities. Cheaters, game stability, and quality of life updates are top of mind. We need to get better, and it's why we're acknowledging them here." Which was absolutely great and amazing to hear from the dev team. But now looking back at it, it was great to hear, but it would have been better to have that implemented. Since then, well, they've improved and gotten a lot better. In this video, I actually said that it hadn't improved and hadn't done well, and that's because at that point in time it had it. But since then, in the last few months, the cheater situation in Apex has been fantastic. Ever since they stopped Linux being supported for Apex, so you can't play on Linux, and they also made changes to the anti-cheat. The cheater situation has gone down a lot. There still are cheaters, don't get me wrong, but it is a lot better. And DirectX 12 for running Apex has been great for the stability of the game. So big ups to the devs there, they did fantastic. That's largely been all the major events from Apex in 2024. There were a few other small things recently, like they added an addition to ranked where you can see the people in your lobby, what ranks everyone is, which was nice. We had the OG game mode, which was a lot of fun. And we have the new Relic game mode, which is fun, but I think is dragging on for way too long. I low-key missed just playing normal pubs. So looking back at all of 2024, I actually don't think it was a terrible year for Apex. There was quite a bit of content. And then a lot of collection events, don't get me wrong. Sadly though, there was a lot of issues as well. The ALGS hack, the battle pass changes, they put a sour mouth in a lot of players' mouths of Apex. It was kind of the final straw for a lot of people and it turned them away from the game. And once you lose people's love or, respect for a game, it's very hard to get it back. Then when you add on to that they're removing progression from the game, like trackers, the ability to get badges, it doesn't give people a lot of reason to play the game, especially where at the same time other games like Fortnite are doing so much with collabs, new content, fundamental game changes, and there are new games like Marvel Rivals coming out. Of course, Apex is going to take a major hit due to all that happening. And the sad truth is it's probably going to keep going this way unless Apex does make huge fundamental changes with the addition of something like a sandbox game mode or something similar, major collabs like Fortnite, not obviously to Fortnite's level, but just something. It's going to keep slowly getting lower player base. It won't ever die because Apex is one of the best core games ever made, but the player count will slowly keep going down. Let me know what you guys thought of 2024 for Apex as a whole. I hope you guys all doing well. I hope I didn't ramble too much in these videos. Keep being awesome, keep being amazing. Much love and Merry Christmas.